All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another live session of this show, and we're still trying to figure out a name. Hassan last time suggested the Bakri boys, the Bakri brothers.
The
Who
Bakri
knows?
crew, Akhi. We're not boys, Akhi. The Bakri crew.
The Bakri crew, folks who are listening live, do help us out. We need a name. Today,
How about Hadri Gang?
Haydar again, sure, why not? Let's steal. Ahl Bayt are not the monopoly of the Shia, so let's get in on that action.
Exactly.
Ahl Bayt are in fact innocent of the Shias. More than that. Not the monopoly of the Shias.
No doubt, no
Exactly.
doubt.
So we should have association with their names more than them.
No doubt.
Today we got brother Zillay with us for the first time, and he's going to be giving us a lot of background information, behind the scenes information, information that most of us are not aware of. Well, I of course I've been given a sneak peek or some of this inside information before, but it's important to share with the rest of the world. So inshallah we're going to get to it. Very briefly, by the way, I can hear myself echoing. I don't know.
Zilly, something is, and I have no crisp with me anymore. Something is making like. No, now it's gone. Now the sound is gone.
I put the volume down, so maybe that helped it.
Yeah, there's some click sound. There's click sounds.
There was
a
slight echo.
I can hear it as well from you guys. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm using a phone. I don't know.
It's all right.
I guess try to keep your mic a bit farther away from your mouth. Maybe that would help. I don't know.
Okay, I'll keep the mic the other way.
All right. So basically, very briefly, before anything, I guess, should we start off with the history of what happened? Hassan, I think I'm listening to it through you. It seems like your sound levels are bouncing up and down when I'm speaking.
Wallahi, I'm using just normal phone as usual. Nothing special. I mean,
Keep your mic farther away from your headphones. Try doing that.
well, I don't even have a mic here. It's the phone's mic, So the phone's
Try
mic.
decreasing the volume. Try decreasing the volume, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Because my voice is bouncing off your phone. It seems to be fine now.
Yeah.
Inshallah, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so this whole fiasco, very quick background for those who aren't aware. Everything started off with Naqshawani. Naqshawani challenged Ahl Sunnah to a debate, and basically everyone accepted his challenge. Everyone wanted a piece of Naqshawani, Asrar Rashid, Adnan Rashid, Hassan, Akhi, everyone wanted a piece of this guy.
Well, it's by his lectures which he done in the month of Muharram in Leicester that kicked it off. I think it was.
I guess that was it.
Talking about real supposed terrorism, and he was referring it to the Khilafat al-Rashida.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened was, with time, of course, he disappeared. Naqshawani disappeared, and
he's a celebrity sheikh. He doesn't get involved in this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, he has a lot to lose, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. The guy's all about money. He charges like hundreds of pounds to do one lecture for the Shiites.
Humble servant of
I remember I met him once and I go, "Can you give me your phone number?" And he goes, "Do you want the Muta hotline or do you want the other number?"
A filthy joke, probably with a lot of truth in it.
Yeah, he was. He was trying to say what a study was, isn't it?
All right, so carrying on. What happened next was some Shias tried to save face. Some of them even attacked Ammar Naqshawani, but some others tried to save face, and then they started to challenge Sunnis to a debate, and they put up a person. They wanted to bring a person into debate Ahl Sunnah who was known as Abu Zainab al-Ha'iri. And I guess, Zillay, I'm going to leave this bit to you.
That they want to unleash on Al Sunnah. That's still in case.
Yes, the word is unleashed. So, Zillay, please do share what you know, because I believe you're from, you were close to Salah Rashid at the time, and you have some information about what happened on behind the scenes, right?
I only met the Sheikh once. This is after the fiasco expired. He came to our local masajid and he done a talk here. So I went to meet him then. We had a brief chat, and he said they're a waste of time. They don't want it. They're not coming forward. But going on from what you said, as you all know the background to it, it was in the month of Muharram when Naqshbandi done his lectures in Leicester, I believe it was, and talking about in particular the Khilafat of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Umar, and he was referring to like a historical, being gossip stuff, this and that, what have you. We all know the history anyway. Carrying forward. So what happened then was that Sheikh Asrar Rashid, because he has a lot of his students and stuff like that live in that town, they made him aware of it. He listened to the lecture. He come out. He done a public challenge. He said, "I challenge this guy to a public debate regarding the false accusations which he's made, and let him come out to debate me." So he put that challenge out initially. They waited for a while. There was no response from him. He told his fanboys that he doesn't debate. The Naqshbandi we were talking about here. So then he done an open challenge for all the Shias. Say anybody from the UK that can represent the Shia community, come forward, because these are beliefs that you all hold. So let's talk about them.
Okay.
So they arranged a venue, and they said anybody can come forward. Sayyid Ali, who's a well-known instigator, which these guys unfortunately weren't very well aware of him, but I was. So because I've met him a few times in person, I know the guy quite well as well. So he got his gang together. They went down, about quite a dozen of these Shiites went down to Gumgol Sharif, I think it was, in Birmingham, and they sat down there and they laid down conditions for a debate. When the conditions were being laid, they didn't introduce their sheikh formally. They brought along a mystery figure amongst many mystery figures, and amongst them was sitting Yahya Seymour, who a friend of mine sent me a picture because I couldn't make it. And, a clean-shaven guy sitting there with an Arab garb on and everything, with a white scarf. And we're like, who's this dude, man? He looks so funny. He's got the traditional dress on, but he's, like, completely clean-shaven. And he looks like I don't know, man. He looked like some kind of white bloke, anything. So
I guess he looked like a monk in Muslim garment.
yeah, that's it. So everybody's like, who's this guy? And they sent me a picture of him. I said, I recognize a couple of these guys, but this one I don't know. A long way down the line, I found out his name is Yahya Seymour. When we'll get to that later. So anyway,
Can I ask you something? So, because I read one of them, I think it was this Hassan Qadri guy, yes. He said, you know how they always, I don't know why they play the Rambo role as if they're very brave, they storm parks unannounced with 30 plus people. I remember, I think this was this Hassan Qadri guy, this big one, the one who stormed the park for one day.
yeah.
He wrote, I think, somewhere that, the lines of the Rafida.
They're very confident. Do you know what it is? Because they don't.
Someone else wrote the lines of the Rafida came with 50 men, showed their face, Well, actually, I don't call it confidence. What kind of confidence is this when you only in the position when you're with 30 or 50 plus of your own man, It's like going with 60 Sunnis unannounced in front of a Shia place, and then I say, Hassan Shemrani, the line of Ahl Sunnah, put finger in the hearts of Ankara. This is childish,
Yeah. Well, that's the way they see it. They have this kind of animosity. They think that, they hate us, we hate them. So if it kicks off, we believe in Sayyidina Ali, the line of Allah. It's all on our side. They're all little mini Arnold Schwarzeneggers.
So wait a second. I want to know a little bit more about this Yahya Seymour. So Yahya Seymour, by the way, we have to be fair. I think this plain shaven thing, maybe the guy, as far as I know, he's of some mixed race Asian background.
I think he's from what I heard. I thought he's from Iraq.
No, he's not from Iraq.
He's not Iraqi.
He's half Scottish, half he's a white guy. He's half Scottish, half Filipino, and we have to be
Right,
fair.
that's it. Half Filipino.
One
Sorry, I
second.
beg your
I
pardon.
know you did not intend to say this as an insult, and I myself, they accuse me of a lot of things, of ridiculous things like racism, maskhara, as if I'm a white guy.
Yeah,
Simo, he's half white, half Filipino, and it's not just Filipinos; it's even some Arab tribes can't grow much beard, and some
yeah.
Eastern Africans don't grow much beard.
No,
So I know. Sorry, no, one second.
yeah.
Just 1 second. I know you didn't mean it in an insulting way. You just observed it from the Zahir. But I think that he doesn't have a beard is not because he shaves or something. It's because he can't grow much or whatever. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
talk about
yeah.
his physical form. Let's explain again a little bit more. So are you telling us that Yahya Simo came with a shimar and with a thobe and with a abba and everything in full garment, Muslim garment, and then like he was one of the secret weapons or what? He was like one of the top shit.
He
Yeah,
was he
really?
he was sitting there, and well, everybody else didn't know who he was because, to be honest with you, we're aware of their main speakers that come out in the open and they do their lectures in every room and stuff like that. But this guy, he isn't very that open in the community in the sense that I never heard of any Imam Bar guy inviting him round or anything like that. So he looked like a strange bloke we've never seen before.
But I mean, they presented him. Did they present him as in, oh, this is one of our sons?
He didn't speak. He didn't speak. He was just sitting there amongst their people that came to arrange the debate, the conditions for the debate. You could tell he was a man of influence, but you couldn't tell who he was. It was like that.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Please carry on, Akhi. Please carry on.
Yeah. So anyway, the conditions were arranged. The topics, they would discuss the topic, which was going to be the Adalat of the Sahaba and the Khilafat al-Rashida, or the Caliphate of the first three Caliphs, because obviously they have no dispute when it comes to Sayyidina Ali. Anyway, but after a bit of going back and forth, collaborations, this and that, they wouldn't reveal who their sheikh is who's coming to debate. Only thing they'll say is he's Abu Zainab al-Hayri, as you say, and he's al-Hayri, yeah, and he's Asuli, but that's all they're saying about it. He's not on YouTube, he's not on this, he's not on that. He's a low-key sheikh, but he will debate. Anyway, so then I got talking to a friend of mine who was in contact with the other parties of the Sunni camp, and I said, look, don't debate them on anything historical, otherwise it's going to go round and round the bushes all day long. Keep it close-knit, keep it onto something to do with Aqidah, keep it something that we main different upon. Going to one Imama, they will never debate that. So then, yeah, so the sheikh pressed for that. They said, let's debate upon Imama. As soon as they started mentioning that, they got like cold nerves, cold feet, this and that. Said, no, we want to debate upon, other secondary issues like Farid, Adalat al-Sahaba, this and that. Why won't you debate the Adalat al-Sahaba? And Sheikh said, look, there's loads of companions. We can't sit there going through each individual life and biography. 5 hours is not enough. Let's debate this, and everything else will come inside it. But they were unwilling to do that. Anyway, so they didn't come forward.
Brother, can I ask one question? At that moment, didn't you guys ask for this mysterious individual with the shimar, with the headscarf and everything, this Yahya Simo? Didn't one of you guys or one of the camp of Sheikh Asrar ask, who is that guy? Is that not one of your sheikhs? Are we going to debate him?
No, because the spokesperson on behalf of them was Sayyid Ali. So far as we know, he was arranging the conditions. So there was no need to find out who everybody else was, because there was like 40, 50.
Yeah, but you guys need to know who you're going to debate, don't you? So
and the only thing they said was Abu Zainab al-Khayri. That's it.
All right, now my question to you: Do you know that on the day where the so-called debate was to take place, and they had this meeting where they invited a bunch of their own people that they always hang around with, same faces.
Yeah.
And this Hassan al-Qadri had his speech, and then he said, "This is how you almost talk about dogs." It's just I'm almost paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing. He said that just wait, we're gonna unleash Abu Zainab al-Hayri on you guys. So,
who's this guy Hassan al-Qadri, whatever?
Yes, forget about them. This is that guy claims a lot, has a lot of he himself has a lot of conditions when he wants to debate with someone. But
Why is this, the
debate
name Qadri just sounds a bit, because that's usually people of the Qadri Silsila. Or why is the name Qadri on there?
Lebanese Iraqi guy, but it's not important.
Okay.
He was from this Rafida Org team. And anyway, the guy was on the day there. He also wore shimar and then anyway, I wanted to debate him, you know, and then he on his Facebook here and there he said no, he wants someone with shakhsiyah, with personality, this, that, someone who's known in the community, as if he himself is known. And he's nobody when it comes to debating, because even if he debates other people in private, he never debated anybody. It's not recorded. He's not known in any community, in our community. Anyway, this person, Akhi, on that day, you know, they made a video with that Shubairi guy talk. You know, the guy who always his hands like weird, and then the Hassan Qadri guy talk. And when this Hassan Qadri, it's still online on YouTube. He said, "That's white. We're gonna unleash this Tamatul Cobra." And he want to say this guy's undefeatable, the ultimate Sunni, you know, annihilator, Abu Zainab al-Ha'iri. Wait, you haven't even seen nothing.
Yeah.
Abu Zainab
And
al-Ha'iri.
we still haven't seen anything.
Yeah, we still have,
Please.
and I'm shaking in my boots every night.
I don't think we're going to, because the mysterious Batman doesn't want to reveal himself.
I can't sleep at nights. I can't sleep at nights knowing that he's out there and he's gonna bring the brand newest arguments for Imama that in all the books I've read by the top Maraja and the top debaters haven't brought forward. Abu Zainab al-Ha'iri gonna be
Hassan, Akhi, please let Zillay continue, man. We still have a bit of stuff to cover, yeah.
Zillay didn't answer yet. So this Abu Zainab al-Ha'iri, finally, you guys did not ask for who is that guy, when will he reveal himself, or so you guys didn't push for that?
That come out later when I was speaking to Sayyid Ali. I'll come to that. So anyway, I'll cut the long story short for now, so you can get the answer to your question.
No, Akhi, please take your time. We're all enjoying this. I'm sure the folks on the live chat are enjoying it as well. So please carry on.
So okay, all right.
Take your time.
All right, cool. So I passed a message on to a brother who speaks to a sheikh, and I said, look, whatever you do, make sure you keep it to an Aqidah issue. Make sure you ask to them that the speaker that is coming forward, he's an Asuli Shia, because Sayyid Ali and these guys, they're Akhbaris. They're considered heretical by their own people around here. In England, they call it Malungs. Like, you know, they smoke, some of them, they smoke weed. Most of them don't even pray. They just over excessive on self, doing martyrs and Jilzani. Some of them go to Germany to even do it. That's how into it they are. I even went into one of their gatherings once they called me over. And so I said, make sure you press for that, and they did, and then nothing happened. It didn't go forward. Nobody come forward this year, and the sheikh done an open post. He said, okay, it seems like none of them is willing or man enough to come forward, so unfortunately we'll have to drop it until they can man up. So then afterwards, Sayyid Ali started messaging me on Facebook, and I was obviously replying to him as well. And I said,
a really, really quick question. How long did this go on for? How long until Asrar Rashid wrote that post where he said that no one came out and no one's approaching us?
I don't know I can't remember the exact timeline from the top of my head. I'll have to beg your pardon because I didn't really prepare going through my old material for that properly. But I'd say it was at least a good few weeks, maybe going into a couple of months.
Okay, so it wasn't like a couple of days and then he was like, no one's coming forward, right?
No. He was very patient in that.
Okay, so he accepted the challenge, but for 2 months or something, or a month, this Abu Zainab never came forth.
Never came forth. Nor were the Shia side willing to reveal any kind of phone number for him, any kind of contact for him, any kind of meeting with him one-on-one. Even when the Sheikh said, let me and Abu Zainab meet one-on-one, and we'll discuss the conditions of the topic, they're still willing to do something like that.
What I found very interesting is that these guys, they said, please
They
send in
wanted,
some CVs. They said,
yeah,
send in
he said that to
the
me. So
CVs.
Ali said to me as a joke. He said to me, I don't know if he was joking or he was trying to mock us. He said, "I want to see the CV of the sheikh that you bring forward." And I said to him, "I want to see the credentials of your sheikh you bring forward, and I want to see a medical test just to make sure he didn't damage himself in last Muharram. If you can show me that, I'll send you a CV." And then obviously he did reply to that.
All right, please carry on.
Yeah. So anyway, and so things died out. Everybody started. Ali kind of lost respect in his own community. He had to do a apologetic post. He came out and done an apology because he slandered Sheikh Asrar with some lies, and then he come out and he said. Then he done a post where he apologized to Sheikh Asrar and the Sunni community, saying that I lied, basically that he lied himself. I'm talking about Sayyid Ali, and then a lot of his guys considered him a joker for doing something like that.
Okay, please. This needs. We need some details on this. What did he lie about? What was that about? I,
It's
I
regarding.
remember. I remember an apology. I can't remember what happened exactly.
I had a screenshot of it. I'm not sure if I sent it to you in the past or not, but it's regarding something
I
he
recall
attributed.
seeing. Go on. Go on.
I think it is regarding something he attributed to the sheikh,
Okay.
which he didn't actually say.
Okay.
Trying to
Okay.
make build up numbers on his side, but it kind of backfired on him because he thought he was the only one recording, but they were recording as well. So it exposed him as a dirty white liar.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, please
yeah.
carry on.
Yeah, so anyway, then we got talking, and then he started trying to appeal to my logic, saying, "Brother, if the truth is truth, you should be able to defend it, this and that." And I said, 100%. I go, if the truth is the truth, then why don't you reveal who your mystery man is? I can tell you who this year is. You know who he is. You can go access him anytime you like. You can speak to him. Why is your guy, like the mystery guy, like he's like Batman or something, he got a flash of torch and he mystically appears? Why can't we go see him? Why can't we talk to him? What institution is he graduated from? You say he's a Sunni Shia, so he must have come from one Hausa. Which Hausa did he come from? Who's his
Right.
teacher? Or what's his credentials? And then I said to him, I said, I don't think he is in a Sunni Shia because you're obviously not. And then why would you get one of them to debate on your behalf when your standpoint is different to theirs? It's like me saying I'm a Hanafi or a Hanafi Sunni and I'll get a Salafi to debate my viewpoint. Do you understand? It's like that.
It,
So
it's
I
kind
said,
of strange because
yeah.
I never assumed that Sayyid Ali was an Akhbari Shia. Any thoughts on that, Hassan?
Well,
He doesn't call himself a Akhbari, but
well,
the way he talks is 100%.
well. We shouldn't. I would say we shouldn't be quick in judgment. It's still
He
best.
he deb- he actually had a long discussion with me once on the necessity of taqleed. That's
Yeah,
what raised my doubts upon that.
I
I do
see.
understand where you're coming from. If you just let me just 1 second, I would say the best thing is, to let your opponent explain what he is. For example, when sometimes Rafida come and, when they play the game to to decide for us who is a Sunni and not,
Mm.
whenever they feel funny or they don't feel, oh, you're Wahhabi, you're this and that, or I don't know. Person considers and if the Shia person, all I know is the only they look up to clearly is Hassan al Ayari. Hassan al Ayari is accused of being Akhbari, but Hassan al Ayari, the madman, yeah, the one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hassan al Ayari himself rejects this notion completely. He says, Akhbari and Usuli, this is um, uh, it's bigger, it's blown out of proportion. And point is, I haven't seen them Said Ali or Alayari, who, as far as I understand, as Akhbari, they don't seem to be clear cut, pure Akhbaris. Maybe not
No, 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 no. You see,
as non-Shia I see it.
yeah. Mm.
Point is, brother, they call themselves 12ers, Shias, Imamiyah, and anything else shouldn't be our concern if they now are from
Mm.
this school or from that.
But you see, the reason why I'm going to touch a little bit on this. The problem is, right? Obviously, they don't study the theology that deep in terms of they don't know the differences between Wahid Bahbani and Mullah Amin Astrabadi in terms of the Akhbari and the Sunni split. They don't go that far. The thing is, what they do is they say we do ihtiyat in the sense that we'll listen to some Maraji in what they please to us, in a sense. Like Sistani allows Zanjir Zani, he's okay, he's good. Harmonai says no, you shouldn't do Zanjir Zani, so no, we disagree with him. Sistani says you can play chess. Harmonai says no, you can't play chess. No, we'll disagree with him. We'll do ihtiyat in that matter. Uh, so they kind of do this kind of mixed lead, like the kind of thing that the Ayatollah from Lebanon spoke about. So they do that kind of thing.
Guys, we're going way off topic. Let's get back to the issue. Please, Akhi Zillay, go on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, we were talking, and I said to him, "Why don't you guys be man enough to reveal to me who he is?" And then in the midst of discussion, it was a textual talk, and I still have the screenshots. He kind of said to me, have you heard of a guy called Yahya Seymour?" I said, "No, I haven't." And he said, "Yeah, he's a very big guy. He converted from Christianity. He's not minor, you know. He's debated guys like David Wood and stuff like that, and he's all on the internet. Check him out. He's basically bigging him up, saying like, yeah, he's a big destroyer, this and that kind of stuff." I said, okay.
Did he do any, where did he do? Is there one proof? Is there one video where he did very well? Is he a known refuter of Christianity? Where?
No, I haven't seen anything really much. There's limited information about him anyway. So, but then luckily, brother Farid knew who he was, and then I think Farid, if you remember, did I send you a picture and said, "Is that Yahya Seymour?" And then you
I
said,
don't
"Yeah."
I don't recall receiving a picture. I think
Okay,
you said something like his name is Yahya. I think you said his name is Yahya, and I was like, is
yeah.
it Yahya Seymour or
And
something
then
like that?
when I googled it, then I saw his face, and I remembered his face from the picture when they came to the hall to lay the debate conditions. I said, "Oh, so this is Yahya Seymour." And then I
Yeah.
asked Ali, "Okay, is this him? Is this the famous Abu Zainab?" And he didn't affirm or he didn't deny. He kind of gave me the impression to think that it is him. So
Right.
so that's where I got so I said, okay. I said, that's when I spoke to you straight after, and you said, okay, you know what, I know Yahya Seymour, let me ring him and ask him. And then I think you rang him and you asked him, and I believe he categorically denied it. And then I messaged Ali and I said, look, your man is running a mile away, he doesn't want nothing to do with you lot. So what are you talking about, debate? You haven't even got anyone to debate. Who is it? Who else is there? And Ali was very silent, he didn't say anything. I go, well, you was giving a big talk and now suddenly there's nobody there to come forward.
Subhanallah. So fast forward. When was this? This was almost a year ago, right?
Yeah, about a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So fast forward until the past few days. Sayyid Ali made this post on his Facebook group, challenging me and Hani, and this is what he wrote something like the revisiting the Salaf team challenges Farid and Hani to a debate on Tawheed. So I accepted the debate, and I was like, okay, I accept Sayyid Ali's debate, and I have a couple of conditions, etc., etc. And then he just in the past, I don't know, 10 hours, 12 hours, almost 24, I can't remember, but in the past, past day, he wrote something along the lines of, it seems like, they have misunderstood me because I never said I want to debate. But this debate, he said that he's open to debating, but this challenge is not from him. This challenge is from the revisiting the Salaf team. Now,
right. Which could be hundreds of people there.
It could be anyone, but here's the thing. I mean, from what I know, the revisiting the Salaf team is Sayyid Ali. I wasn't aware that anyone else wrote, the articles or translated the articles.
He doesn't write the articles himself. That guy hasn't got the brain span to write an article, man. It's other people, these ex-Hozar students that have been there, studied, come overboard. He's in touch with them. He gets them to write. Some of the scholars write, stuff like that. It's multiple people. It's like answering Ansar wasn't one guy. There's loads of guys that used to write on there.
Yeah.
If you have more information on who writes that stuff, I'm really interested.
Well, they never give the author's name in every article on Answering Ansar. Right, there were different guys that were writing it. Even when I used to spot out errors from there, and I used to email them, and I even have some of the responses there as well. They never used to reveal who the author was. They'll just say some brother wrote this article, and we should pass it on to him for the next edition or something like that.
I see. Well, the first time I had my doubts, to be honest, about say, because I always assumed that was Sayyid Ali who was writing that stuff. It was
No, no,
only when I
no.
saw him on Titans TV.
I've had
It was when I
multiple
first saw him on Titans
one-to-one
TV where I came to this
interactions
realization.
with Sayyid Ali, and I can honestly say, with hand on my heart, he hasn't got the brain capacity to write something, write that kind of stuff.
Akhi, we watched him. We watched him on the debates, the way he talked. And I swear by Allah, I try to be fair, the way he talked about me, in a way, more or less was respectful. So I'm not
Yeah, he
trying
starts
to
off very sweet. He's a very
yeah,
sweet talker.
I'm,
Is later on you find out.
yeah, I don't want to be rude or anything for the sake of being rude. No. But I'm saying genuinely, and I mean it, when I saw the debates on Titans TV and Hyde Park, the way he speaks and argues, you can tell he has very limited knowledge. So
Yeah.
no wonder when I ask him, hey, you can when I mean Abu Muslim Khurafani, one of our team members, said, okay, debate Hassan Shemrani. But he said no. But now interesting, he said he might debate Farid as far as I understood. And this is gonna be very interesting. Is it correct?
Well,
He will debate you.
Wallah, what he wrote was like, if Farid wants to debate me, he has to come on Titans TV. أخي,
The funny
I
thing
said,
was, right, because this
eh,
is about you, Farid. Last time when
eh,
I said to him, I go, look, this guy at TravelShia.net, he's a close brother, he's a friend of mine, I speak to him a lot. And he said to me, they're Salafis, man, why do you speak to them, this and that? And I said, no, it doesn't matter. In these theological differences, we are exactly the same, and we hold the same viewpoint. So you don't even need to go on that kind of stuff, so we can keep it on that. And whatever we say will be 100% the same.
wow. Subhanallah,
I was
when
surprised about
when
that Harun Jamil guy because he's an ex-Sunni, and the way they manipulated his mind and brought him over to their own camp. That was, I kind of saw that happening a year before he come out of the closet, and I told everyone at the time. I said, "This guy, he's a Shia. He's nearly there. He's just about to jump off the fence." And then people started unfriending him on Facebook, but because he had a good voice and he was a Nath reciter, he had that kind of platform, and eventually his Shia influenced friends must have introduced him to that Shia Blade Runner, and finally he came out of the closet.
They always find here and there some ignorant person. I saw that this is the guy who
But they're totally unlearned Sunnis. They're totally ignorant of the Sunni counter argument. They're totally unaware of it. That's the problem.
but of course. Which person whose knowledge will fall for the religion of Rafd instead of
Exactly. They can only feed upon ignorance of people. That's it. I know
Subhanallah.
myself. I've been there, man. It's an emotionally charged faith. If you're an emotional person, you'll get in there very quick.
Akhi, I used to be Shia. Do you know how many Sunnis I myself, when I used to be Shia, at the very least, I caused a lot of doubt in their minds. May Allah forgive me.
Yeah,
How?
me too, man. May Allah forgive me too.
How did I do that with knowledge? No, it was coming.
Your mic's
Your
acting up,
your
Hassan.
mic is very bad, brother.
I
Get
said,
get a bit, yeah, get a bit closer to it.
all right. I said the
Yeah.
way when I used to be Shia, not just
Mm.
me, anybody else. You don't need to be knowledgeable. You just need to throw these recycled shubuhat and arguments of the Shia at an emotional and very ignorant Sunni. And then there's almost a guarantee someone who is firm in Tawheed and Sunnah and the history and is learned. No way he will fall for it. Impossible. That is why I swear by Allah, when I used to be Shia, every single ex-Sunni I've seen, by Allah, he was either a semi-Shi'i to begin with, and a lot of khurafat that the Rafida do, he wasn't indulged with anyway in his
Mm.
respected sect, or he was extremely ignorant of the basics of Ahl Sunnah, of the basics of Tawheed and the usul of the deen. I've
Mm.
never seen no, that is why the Rafida hate Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah and those amongst the Sunnis who are very firm in Tawheed, very firm in following the Sunnah, very firm in refuting all bid'ah sects. That's why the Rafida hate them the most and call them Wahhabis and whatnot because they know these people are not going to fall for us. They know who's gonna fall for them. That's why they know where to go. Where most likely to get a response from. Yeah.
Yeah, very true, and that's why everyone keeps calling Hani a Wahhabi, even though I mean,
He
we,
categorically says no, no.
لا يعني me and Hani we disagree on matters of sifat, and
Yeah.
I guess everyone would disagree.
Honey's a cool guy, man. He's alright.
He's a he's a cool guy, akhi, and يعني, subhanallah, it just goes to show how people can get along and do so much in the field of da'wah, even if they disagree on such matters. However,
Even the ulama disagree on many issues, many historical accounts, historical figures, stuff like that. But the Akida is the same, and that's how it should be.
I once said a very close, and maybe he's gonna listen. Watching this, a Pakistani, very very staunch Hanafi Maturidi, beautiful brother. Yeah, who with me had differences of opinions when it came. I'm Athari in Aqidah. But one thing, he said something beautiful to me, and he's a very good brother, and he was very firm, and he knew the battle of Rafida, and he made a lot of da'wah, mashallah, online, to declare the Hanafis and Maturidis free of the Rafida, like, because, in the late 90s, early 2000, and still the Rafida played the game, it's just the Wahhabis who denounce our madhab. No, the Hanafis have one of the most staunchest position when it comes to the Rafida sect. So anyway,
Very strict. Yes, very strict. Yes.
Anyway, this brother said something very beautiful to me. He said to me, Hassan, I'm a Hanafi Maturidi, right? I said yes to him. He said to me, I learned something. I've seen with my own eyes and heard with my own ears a Rafidi one time accusing a Hindu of being a Wahhabi. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, in a discussion, whenever Shias are cornered, whenever people don't give them, for God's sake, man, we don't want anything from you. We don't want your life. We don't want nothing. But this is our God-given right that we have theological differences. And if we say, I'm a Hanafi, I'm a Shafi, I'm a Maturidi, I'm a Ash'ari, I'm a Athari, to me, your sect is a sect of batil, falsehood, heresy, zandaqa, one of the worst sects, historically speaking. That's my God-given right. And then, boom, what will happen? The Wahhabi card will come out. So even the Maturidi, even the Ash'ari, and even the Hindu guy, I will suddenly receive it's just like with the Zionists, isn't it? Huh? Everybody is an anti-Semite when he refutes them, exposes them, or just, disagrees with them harshly. Suddenly you're an anti-Semite. Even if you're an Arab, and the Arab is by definition a Semite. Same with these people. You disagree with them harshly, or even not harshly, if you just disagree with them and don't fall for their unity and all of us are actually the same and blah, 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 these sushi games, yeah, then you are suddenly Wahhabi, even if you're Hindu.
All right, guys. Before carrying on, I think we should open the floor to some questions because, alhamdulillah, we have a decent amount of people online today on the chat. Not as many as yesterday, but alhamdulillah, a decent amount nonetheless. Please, if anyone has any questions, please do write your questions in the live chat. I'm going through it right now. I see it's mainly people doing dua for Hassan or cursing Hassan. That's usually most. that's what I'm seeing right now.
He has that links effect on people, doesn't he?
Hey, mashallah, mashallah. Apart from that, to those who are listening, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. If you like what you're listening to and watching, please do click on that like button. If you don't, click on that dislike button. Go for it. So yeah, any questions, please, keep them coming, and of course, keep it at least somewhat related to this topic that we're talking about today. And most importantly, I want you to come out of this with one, with one message in mind or with one thought in mind, which is that for the past year and a half or something, they've been challenging us to debate, and yet they're not telling us who's challenging us, which is, quite strange.
I would just like to add a little thing on their kind of challenge. Their challenge to
Please
me
do.
is like walking into a room and you see a pillow there and you say, why don't you fight me? Fight me, fight me. Well, the pillow can't do anything because it can't move. So their challenge has been like that kind of thing out of nowhere. And when you ask them to bring someone forward, there's nobody there.
Yeah. Allah understand. So the guys in the chat are asking if I could make Millet Ibrahim as an admin to control the chat because the chat's getting a mess to some
Yeah,
extent.
I can't see anything, but yeah, you do what you gotta do. All I see is this
I,
brother
pers-
Hassan,
I, I
brother
personally
Hassan's
don't,
face in front of me, which let's hope there's no nightmares tonight. And that's it.
I personally don't mind. I personally don't mind the chat going a bit crazy from time to time.
So what are people saying?
At the moment, people are praising Muawiyah and cursing Muawiyah. We have both. It started off with Hassan, and then now they're talking about Muawiyah.
Well, we can discuss that if they want. If anybody has to,
We,
the
we
people
already
that
we already have we already have like 2 hours on Muawiyah. We recorded like 3 days ago, so I don't think we're
oh
gonna
my
get back
god,
into that.
okay, all
Yeah.
right. So haters are gonna hate, as they say, eh?
Someone just said, Farid, please repeat the topic. Akhi, I can't repeat the topic, man. I can't repeat the topic right now. We've been on for about an hour, Akhi.
It's basically in so regarding the Sunni Shia split. If anybody wants to talk about that, go ahead.
Someone just asked. Okay, this is yani, not too related, but it's a decent enough question that should be answered. Shias use Sunni hadiths to try to justify their viewpoints. Why do they not bring up their Shia hadiths?
Can I answer this?
Go for it.
This question, their brother or sister, whoever asked this, the Shias are doing zero mistakes here. What you have to learn and understand is the basics and the adab of discussions, حوار المناظرة. In a discussion, you bring narrations from your opponent because it is a hujjah, is an evidence to your opponent. Quick example, when you debate or discuss with your Christian friend, neighbor, don't you bring something from the Bible? Does that mean by necessity you believe in the Bible? Everything in it? Of course not. You cite, quote from the Bible because it's a hujjah, it is an evidence for your opponent or for the person who believes it. So we have to be fair to the Shia. When the Shia quote from our
Speak up, Hassan. Speak up.
when the Shia quote from our books, knowingly or unknowingly, this is incorrect. This is a correct way of indulging in hiwar discussion. Yes, it doesn't mean that they don't. Of course, the Shia often misuse our narrations. I'm not defending the Shias here. They often, unfortunately, misuse our narrations, cut them in half, cut verses in half, bring batil narrations, mawdu narrations, fabricate narrations, weak narrations, often attribute weak narrations to Bukhari. I'm not defending the Shia here. I'm just saying, generally speaking, a Sunni quoting for a Shia book, or a Shia quoting for Sunni, or a Christian quoting,
Brother, your voice is bad.
Akhi, we have folks in the chat. They're threatening. They're threatening to send you some new mic equipment. So you better watch out, Hassan.
oh, inshallah. Anyway, I hope it's clear. It's clear. This is a correct traditional method, and there's nothing wrong with it, even if the Shias do it.
And we do the same, of course, when we're debating with Shias. We quote material from their books to
You have
prove
to, otherwise it'll
our
have no
points
effect.
against them. This is perfectly fine. But you know what's the issue? The issue is that this is the real issue, guys. Shias accept historical accounts from Sunni books as if they are facts to them, and that is something problematic. So if you were to if they were to talk about, some of the things that happened between the Khulafa, they would quote some funky narrations in Tariq al-Tabari. Well, Tariq al-Tabari, isn't a Shia book, and you shouldn't be trusting Tariq al-Tabari. So that in itself is problematic. So that they're basing their beliefs, they're basing their history on Sunni books, and that's an incorrect method. And that's something they should be more aware of and not fall into.
Mm.
Okay. Let's see if there are any more questions. So, some here, I just can't read out because if I do, the discussion is never going to end. Some are quite lengthy.
Take it.
Okay, so this is an interesting one. One says, but they bring narrations from Aisha or Abu Huraira, for example, which they believe are liars. So why do they use liars to prove their points?
I just explained it, subhanAllah.
If
It,
you understand what the brother just said, then you know why they do that. It's simple.
brother or sister, one more time. As a Muslim, do you believe in the Bible? No. Generally speaking, there is some truth in the Bible, but generally speaking, we don't believe it to be authentic. However, don't you quote from the Bible, even from Paul, the liar, Paul, who distorted Christianity? Why do you quote from the Bible, including maybe a statement from Paul? Because it's a hujjah to your opponent. So if the Shia quotes from our books, even if he believes Aisha is a kafira, it doesn't matter to the Shia. It doesn't matter to the Shia person because he brings it because it is a hujjah to you as a Sunni. Do you understand? This is a very logical, simple, basic principle of hiwar, of munadara, of discussions. Just like okay, I'll give you another example. I bring a quote, a narration from Al-Kafi. The author of Al-Kafi is a zindiq, kafir, enemy of Allah, without a shred of doubt to Ahlul Sunnah wa Jama'ah. And Muhammad ibn Yaqub al-Kulayni, the author of Al-Kafi, the zindiq, who narrated tons of narrations about Tahrif al-Quran. And then the Rafida come and show one or two narrations about a goat eating, one
Yeah.
paper with verses on it, and then they compare it to the mess in their books where Kulayni alone narrated tons of narrations about Tahrif. He narrated tons of narrations where attributes of Allah are attributed to the Imams. Now look,
Astaghfirullah.
is Kulayni a kafir to me and to every Orthodox Muslim without a shred of doubt?
Without a shadow of
But,
doubt.
but do I quote from Al-Kafi for a Shi'i? Yes, I do. Because to the Shi'i, Kulayni is an authority. You understand? I quote from the book of my opponent because it's an authority to him. It doesn't matter if I believe he's a kafir. I hope it's clear now. Should be clear now.
The
Inshallah.
mic is clear, the argument is clear.
Alhamdulillah.
Someone's asking when's this debate happening. Well, for those that are tuning in kind of late, we've been challenged to debates for the past year and a half. Not me personally, but Sunnis have been challenged to a debate for around a year and a half, and we're being challenged by phantom debaters, including Abu Zainab al-Ha'ari, who no one has ever seen or or has heard of, and now in the recent past week, I'm being challenged by the revisiting the Salaf team, and apparently no one knows who that is, and Sayyid Ali has denied that it's him. So wallahu alam.
Yeah, and when we want to debate with one of them, with Hassan Qadri, Shubairi on, then they will come with tons of excuses. No, we don't want Hassan Shemrani. I don't know, he's too harsh, he's too this, we want that. And as if it's a cherry picking show here,
So,
Subhanallah.
so this is a good question. Someone says, I'd like to spread this channel. This is from Angry Pat, who's one of our loyal viewers. Allah Barak fi. He's been here from the earlier days.
He deserves a goodie bag.
The earlier days is like 4 days ago.
For the days of the struggle.
So he says, I would love to spread this channel among my family and friends. However, I do not want to expose them to certain ideas out of fear what it may do to them. What is the best way? That's a good question. What do you guys think?
What does it mean? Does it mean that they might be affected by some Shia Shubuhat?
here's the thing. We're talking about some matters that are usually
It's
never
possibly,
mentioned.
it's not usually kind of stuff that laymen talk about. So
Of
maybe he's
course.
right in the sense that to expose someone who's never been exposed to that kind of polemics, it could make them want to go outside and research in the wrong avenues. It's possible. That's why, when the people used to say to us when we were younger that you shouldn't speak to the Rafida and stuff like that, now we know why. There is some wisdom behind it.
People, when you say this now, they will say, "Oh, look, the scholars are scared." It's not about being
It's
scared.
not. It's not about being scared. No, not at all.
It's not really scared. It's just like me. I will tell my son if he does a stupid mistake and goes and meets up with a fully armed with books, evangelical, hardcore Christian, yeah, and then sits with him. He's not prepared for that. He's not prepared for that. The evangelical Christian hell bent of refuting, for example, I'll give an example, yeah, hell bent on refuting Islam since let's say 15 years, and he's gonna meet my, for example, let's say 15 years old son. It's not the right thing to do. You have to be equipped yourself. But anyway,
Exactly.
the best way I think to answer this question is it depends on the situation. If your family members are already exposed to Shia shubuhat, already to Shia doubts and arguments, well, then there's no other way. Then the best way is the best medicine is to show that Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah confidently, rationally, based on the text of Quran and Sunnah, can easily refute Shia arguments. And if they prefer or know the English language, well, then the best hub, best place to go is 12shia.net, inshallah. And if they aren't exposed to any of that, and if they're just curious or you want to make them curious, well, of course, you don't need to drag them into these polemics. But if they are already, if there is, yani, you see a problem, then I would say, dear brother or sister who asked the question, then, well, there's not much choice. Yani, you have to then expose them. You have to say to them, well, okay, wait a second. There's another side to all this Shia propaganda. There's the Sunni side. Sunnis are often quite quiet when it comes to answering Sunni Shia propaganda, unfortunately.
They're
But there
very
is.
shy. They shy away.
Shy away, they're quiet. Although being the majority, you would have expected there's like 1,012 of Shia.net. The Saudi petrol Wahhabi so-called money would, there would be a pipeline going into my old rusty two-bedroom flat. But there's nothing. There's nothing. There's no petrol dollar from Saudi Arabia. There's no 1,012 of Shias. See just some comments. Sometimes how much money you get from Saudi Arabia? What do you mean how much money you get? My car is 600 pounds worth. It's not that. I don't believe Saudi money is najis or haram. Ahlan wa sahlan. Saudi money, Moroccan money, Pakistani intelligence money, any money for da'wah. Ahlan wa sahlan. I love my Pakistani people. Pakistan zindabad. We don't shy.
Yes.
We don't shy away, because they think to us these are insults. Oh, Saudi money, Pakistani money, Wahhabi money, Ashari money, Maturidi money. Anybody who wants to give money for the da'wah, except Zionists, we don't take nothing from Zionists. But anybody who's a Muslim country with all its faults, of course we would take the help. But there is no help. Allah is our witness. Brother Farid, Brother Hani, I myself, Brother Abu Ismail, Brother Abu Muslim, Brother Noor, all these beautiful brothers at 12shia.net. I know them now since at least 2010. I'm in this field since 2004 when I left Shiism and the end of 2003, right after I started. I know most of these brothers since 2010. None of them, all of them are like simple people, all the stress of life and paying the bills and numerous problems in their lives, like everybody else. But they still, alhamdulillah, have done a lot. They are now big players. And no matter how much Shia say, I once saw on this revisiting the Salaf, they have a group on Facebook. The brother sent me a screenshot because I'm not part of the group. I can't read it. And every time somebody posted an article from Shia, all the comments there was, that's not good. That's wrong. That's it. They haven't even refuted like 5% of our articles. All they can say to their followers is, not strong, really, not good, easy, nothing.
It's weak. It's a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie. It's weak. Nothing. Wahhabi, Bakri, yeah. Totally, she's a big player now. Big.
I'd like to briefly respond. And أخي Zillay, bro, your mic, man, your mic is crackling like crazy.
I'll say hello then.
Okay.
Hello, Allah.
Just one sec. Let me try to mute the guy's mic.
1 second, sorry, I was just going to get something.
All right. Just one sec.
I don't like this, man. I'm the silent one, and you guys keep saying it's my mic that's crackling.
We had all sorts of problems except cracking, bro.
Okay. I think the brother's mic is away now. In any case, very briefly, I'd just like to point out that what I would do is I would tell people that this channel exists. And here's the thing, I don't think that those that are aware of the channel existing will necessarily go through the videos unless they're interested, unless they're exposed to Shia Shubuhat. You get what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Yes, same what I said. Basically, I would only expose a Muslim to hardcore Christian Muslim polemics if he's already exposed to them.
Yeah, I'm taking it. I'm making it a bit more general than that. You're saying I'd only share it with someone who is into this. Me personally,
I don't mean into this. I said if he's already in one way or another, willingly or unwillingly exposed to it. A quick example: somebody in the university, the Shia, they make a lot of noise and da'wah, so he's already in a way exposed to it. He wants now some answers, so I wouldn't fear. There's no fear. I would say, now it's then the time. You have to be brave enough. Listen to these Shias, look what they say, listen to the response of Ahl Sunnah, and bila shak wala ghaib, and the Sunni position is the true position, it's the more rational position, it's the more balanced.
well, I'd take it a step further, because I don't believe that. Here's the thing. I believe that, I wouldn't say the majority, but there's a really large number of Muslims who are familiar or have been exposed, at least to a very basic extent, to these Shia Shubuhat. And I think that, because here's the thing, Akhi, when I was 10 years ago, I remember I was this miskeen, young guy in college, and I was exposed to Fatima alayha salam being killed by Umar, radiallahu anhu, and I was like, and I don't know anything about Tashayyu, akhi. I just know that they pray with their hands down, I know a few things here and there, and they get really sad during Karbala, during Ashura, and that's all I know. And akhi, if someone sent me a link to a channel that had the material, that had these discussions, and I would have really benefited. At the time, I had to go to my sheikh. I was this miskeen yahi kid. I went up to my sheikh, and my sheikh was like younger than me by like 2 years, and I was like, Sheikhna, he was from ex Shia background as well. And I was like, Sheikhna, what's this stuff about, kasr al-dhal and whatnot? And he's like, la, this is all khurafat. And I was like, okay. I was a very, very innocent person. I was the type of person that would accept the last opinion he's heard, subhanallah. So my advice is to share the material, to share the channel. And I honestly believe that people won't click on the videos unless they really are interested in the content. So one, wouldn't really have to worry about them being exposed to some new views or some, deviant ideas.
Can I? Hello?
Yeah.
I'd just like to add something on that issue.
Please do. I don't know if your mic's on mute. I think it's on mute. Wallahu alam.
How can it be a mute if you can hear me?
I don't know. Because there's this mute sign. There's a mute sign there.
I have superpowers. Don't worry. I know how to get through it.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. When I was at school, at the age of 16, 17, when I was first exposed to Shia polemics. I made friends with a lot of Shia people, and the first thing they did was they gave me a book called Peshawar Nights, and I read that, and I was like, that's a brilliant catchbait book. Honestly, you think there's one guy sitting there in an assembly, he's taking everybody on, and nobody has an answer, and stuff like that. And anyway, then they gave me Tajani's Then I Was Guided, and I began searching for answers, but there was nothing available at the time. We're talking about the year 1997, 1998, something like that. So there was nothing available even on the internet at that time. Internet wasn't that much of a craze at the time either. Literature was zero to none in terms of English literature, which was available outside in dealing with Shia polemics. The Shias, on the other hand, were far ahead. They had Ansarian publications. They had plenty of books in the English language that all deal with almost exclusively into the Sunni Shia debate. But on the Sunni side, there was virtually nothing that I could think of at that time which is available, apart from little precepts and stuff like that. The only thing I found was a website called www.ansar.org. Reason being, because when they gave me the website called Answering Ansar, I went to I just searched Ansar.org randomly, and it come up with the arguments to their articles. So that was the first thing I discovered. But if that had not been there, then I could have gone, hook and sinker. I would have been over to the dark side, as they say.
Subhanallah.
Guys, question for me. I think the people
Hassan, speak up, man. Speak up, yeah, Hassan.
should be about this as well. So what is going to happen, Farid? Are you going to debate?
Hassan, speak up, Hassan. You got to speak up.
Are you going to debate Sayyid Ali on, what was it? A hadith of Aisha or something? What is going to happen now?
I don't know what's going on with Sayyid Ali. He says he wants me to come on Titans TV. I'm not coming on Titans TV.
Why not? Yani, we should do it on a neutral platform other than this person. Because that person is, as far as I know, maybe not the person himself exactly, but the beliefs he stands for is certainly not pro-Islam.
I agree.
So why would we go on a channel that is certainly not pro-Islam?
Well, it seems.
I didn't know Titans was a Muslim channel. I thought it was the other guys. That's
Titans seems to be a comedic leaning channel. Wallahu alam.
Yeah,
and,
those black guys are believing, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's going on is what's going on is that Kalam has noticed that the Shias are bringing him views.
Kalam's a very devilish guy. So what he's going to do now, he's going to use those Shia arguments to go back to people like Muhammad Hijab and stuff like that, and try and use those arguments on there. It's happened for centuries. Even if you used to go on that Sam Shamoon guy on his site, like AnsweringIslam.org, he used to always use the Shia arguments against the Sunnis, and when the Sunni was talking, he would go back and forth, bring the Shia counter argument to that, and then apply it to the Sunnis. So they always used to go to people that had already done the homework for them. And that's exactly what these guys are going to do.
And have you seen, brother, and comments under the videos whenever whenever the Roadrunner and his friends appeared on this Titans TV, many Muslims, you could tell the average Muslim, rightfully got very angry, and they could see through what the scholars have always told, that the Rafida are always the first to throw under the bus and unite with the enemies of Islam and with the kuffar. They always prefer, and the kuffar and the mushrikeen always prefer them over the muwahideen, over the Muslims. And the people got very angry when they saw that how close they are. If not anti-Islam, definitely not pro-Islam, these games, and it's subhanAllah. For me, it's interesting how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposes these people it's as if sorry, if they want or if they don't want, it is prescribed for, it is pre-decreed for them that they behave in the way they behave, that they always ally themselves with the kuffar, if they always throw Sunnis on the bus when it gets heated. As we started off the session with Naqshawani, by appeasing the kuffar, doing what? Saying, well, basically it's Sunni Islam. It's the so-called idols of Sunni Islam, the heroes of Sunni Islam. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Aisha, it's Sunni Islam and its revert personalities that are the root for terrorism. Waliyadu billah. May God forbid. Doing this is the ever since Naqshawani and this Fadak TV team, Fadak Yasser Khabib, these people, Rafa, they played this game which backfired on all of them, alhamdulillah, because that made the average Muslim very angry. The average Muslim understood, oh, these people have not just issues with Muawiyah, issues with so-called Wahhabi Salafis. These people are the enemies of the of Ahlul Sunnah in general, of the Sahaba in general, the vast majority of the Sahaba. But in a way, it's good. In a way, it came out khair for the Ummah, because many laymen have are seen now through their lies, So it's good if someone can do no taqiyya or very little taqiyya. It's very good for
Zillay, any closing comments? I think we're about to wrap this up.
No, I think the brother said everything I wanted to say. So Jazakallah khair to everyone.
No, Barak Feek. Hassan, anything, and yeah.
No, that's it. Let's see. Hopefully some debates eventually will occur between us and them. And then we want to do our stuff. We can do their stuff. We do rightfully what we believe in haqq. They need that theological difference. We are not in physical.
Yeah, your mic's acting up, man.
I said these are theological differences. We are not in physical war with anybody. We're doing our stuff, they do their stuff. Hopefully, when maybe they don't unleash.
It's still acting up. It's still acting up.
I said,
Zillay, you got that little clicking in the background again.
no. Whenever you interrupt, Akhi, the voice gets bad. 1 second. I said, maybe Abu Zainab al-Ha'iri will finally be unleashed. So Farid and me, I and everybody else, we can stop shaking in our boots every night, Because
Inshallah khair.
Inshallah.
All right. I'm going to end this by saying that if it was Sayyid Ali, if it was Sayyid Ali challenging me to debate Tawheed, again, I'm down with that. My only condition was that it has to be face to face. I'm going to go, to the UK and I would love to have a public debate with him. My only condition is that when that face to face thing happens, no laptops, no smartphones. However, my debate topic, since his was Tawheed, my debate topic would be the distortions of Saduq. That's my topic. And
Can I say something? Why, if you don't mind me asking, why are you focusing on the distortions of Saduq?
Very, very briefly, because Saduq is the biggest hadith narrator. They have 20,000 narrations. Al-Kulayni has 16,000 narrations. Saduq is the author of the earliest book or treatise on Aqidah. And he has influenced the Aqidah in ways that Shi'is have no idea, by the way. And it's something that I'd love to expose and I'd love to receive a platform for. And not only that, but it's research that no one has done. And
but Saduq was, in a sense, remember he said anybody that does, addition in Azan, they're Maloon, they're this, they're that. He even called even the practices of modern day Shia today as very extreme and going offhand. These guys, so they differ. These lot even today differ with him in a lot of senses, like infallibility of the Imams and stuff like that.
They all take their narrations from Saduq. They all base a lot of their deen on what Saduq has collected. Saduq may be moderate compared to a lot of modern Shias. However, Saduq is still a liar, and I have the evidence to prove that.
Not just that, can I add one thing? As Brother Farid said correctly, Saduq is maybe moderate, and it's correct how the Prophet just mentioned. Saduq might be moderate for
Sorry, bro, your mic, I can barely hear you.
I said Saduq is maybe moderate. Now good?
Say again?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's
Yeah, it's
better.
better.
Keep it like this.
I said Saduq is maybe moderate for modern day standards, but this is not because Saduq is in actual reality moderate. This is because the Rafida are so much drowned into khurafat and shirkiyat and kufriyat that some of the mutaqaddimin, early scholars, look orthodox, kind of, compared to the modern day ones. Other than that, don't forget them, Brother Zilli and everybody else. Saduq believed in the asl, in the foundation of all of problems, which is what? The myth of wilaya and imama of 12 so-called wahi receiving individuals that we have to follow, and based on this takfir of Muslims uh, has occurred from this madhab. Do you understand? So
No doubt.
the
Without a
asl,
doubt.
the foundation is still problematic because Sadu, because as they say in Iran, we have a slogan in Iran, Mark bar asl vilayat faqih, deaf to the foundation of vilayat faqih, which means deaf to wilaya, deaf to
Yeah.
this khurafa, bid'i, satanic, and made up belief of wilaya that has no foundation and is nowhere in the Quran, and based on that, the Rafida who are more consistent, and here I agree with Hassan al Ayari and his crew, because they are more consistent, because they know that the modern day, well, not modern day, the Quran between our hands does not support their beliefs. That is why they are consistent in believing Tahrif. So the main problem is Wilaya, Imama of 12, and this is what people believed in.
This
So Saduq,
that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, for example, the topic of Sheikh Saduk. Not everybody would understand that. The layman Shia probably want to know who he is,
of
but
course,
they all understand what imama is. Our
yeah,
people, they all understand what imama is. So why not debate that topic?
of course we
You,
could
you,
make a topic.
Akhi, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna say this. Inshallah, we're gonna call it a night. Um, the focus, Akhi, the focus is not the general populace of the Shia. It's not, the focus is not the layman. The focus is the alim, Akhi, and I say this, with underlines and bolded. The alim is the focus, the ayatullah is the focus, and then the talib al-ilm is the focus. And inshallah, after those, they will be influenced by, they will be, the layman will be influenced by those that they look up to, that will be convinced by these arguments. And I'm someone who has a lot of faith in the arguments, inshallah, that I will present. In any case, inshallah, we'll be calling it a night. Barakallah fikum. Folks who are listening to this live for the first time, please share this discussion if you enjoyed it. Do subscribe, and have a great night. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.